We are also watching markets for you this morning after President Trump announced a 90-day pause for most of his new tariffs. U.S. futures are trending down as of now, but the stock market surged after yesterday's announcement. And we just learned a short time ago that the EU is pausing its countermeasures against the U.S. Now, President Trump spoke with reporters about the move outside the White House, and here's a brief excerpt of what he had to say about this temporary reprieve.
I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know. They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions, because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents. They wouldn't have done it.
We've got team coverage on what this all means for you this morning. Market Watch's Rob Schroeder is keeping an eye on Wall Street. But let's begin with Natalie Brand at the White House. Natalie, we had long discussed that this could be a negotiating tactic by President Trump, and he is speaking with, I believe, the leaders of other nations. What can you tell us about those talks?
Yeah, good morning, Errol. We don't have exact details about where these negotiations stand, but the administration has said progress on these negotiations contributed to the decision to make this pause on reciprocal tariffs, all involving all trading partners but China, which now has a 125% tariff. But you heard the president there also acknowledge that it was the markets and also the bond market that contributed to his decision yesterday. Now, this process is still early on. There's now 90 days that the administration has to talk to these various countries. The White House saying around 75 have called. And the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, has said that these are going to be separate, quote, bespoke negotiations with each individual nation trying to come to an agreement. But the big question is what happens between the U.S. and China, which, as we know, has only ratcheted up retaliatory tariffs. The Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, saying that conversations, if they happen, it will be between President Trump and President Xi. President Trump saying he thinks that Xi will want to make a deal, but he is still waiting for the call. We do have a new statement this morning from China's Commerce Ministry saying that China's position is clear and consistent. The door to talks is open, but dialogue must be conducted on an equal basis. That, though, is a sign of more willingness to talk compared to statements we've seen in recent days. Errol.
So while most of the world gets a 90-day pause, as you mentioned, there's this increase in tariffs on China. And you spoke with, I understand, a toy store owner who is concerned about how that may continue to impact his business. What is he telling you?
Yeah, Errol, and that's because the Toy Association estimates that more than 80% of toys come from China. That's exactly what this local toy store owner, Everett Pyatt, told me. He and his wife opened their business more than 40 years ago. And he says, you know, during times like this, times of trade war, what typically happens is customers go for lower dollar purchases or kind of middle range purchases, staying away from those high-ticket items. Here's part of our conversation.
Usually what happens is that the average sale goes down a little bit. People start looking for less expensive items. And so we tend to stock up more on middle-range items because that's where the clientele is interested. The impact is going to be all across the economy because everything's not just toys, everything's being having a tariff. So people will just have to adjust and make their own judgments about what's important in that particular family.
So as consumers start to change their habits, that puts pressures on these small business owners to try to figure out how they're going to change their orders of these products. And really, everyone just waiting to see how long this lasts, if it's just temporary or if it continues for some time, Errol.
Yeah, that's the big question. Natalie, thank you very much.